The Barrel House is brought to you by you, the listener, and those of you who have chosen to support the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse, especially our Whiskey Legend and Out of Your Mind tier patrons. Without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Hello, and welcome to the Barrel House. Hello and welcome back. I'm Joe Kane. This is the Barrel House, and we're here to drink whiskey. The whiskey we're drinking today, Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This is a barrel-proof offering from the Wild Turkey Distillery. This is a great bottle at its $56-ish price point. Before we talk all about that, though, let's talk a little bit about Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey Distillery can trace its roots all the way back to the old Moore Distillery, which was purchased and built over by Thomas Rippey in 1891, where he saw fit to build the old Hickory Distillery, where the old Moore Distillery had once proudly stood. After Prohibition, the Rippey family, Thomas Rippey had died in 1909. Don't double check me on that. That could be bullshit. The Rippey family primarily sold their whiskey to NDPs. NDPs are non-distilling producers. Those are the people who primarily buy, like, today's world. They buy like MGP whiskey, put their own label on it, sell it as something else. They primarily sold their whiskey to be rebranded by NDPs around the country. Allegedly, at some point in like 1940, somewhere in there, a Austin Nichols Company executive named Thomas McCarthy took some of this whiskey on a turkey hunt with some prospective clients. And after a bunch of demand for that wild turkey whiskey, in 1942, they began bottling the whiskey as Wild Turkey. They continued to do so as an NDP until 1971, when they just purchased the Rippey Distillery and named it the Wild Turkey Distillery and went from there. Wild Turkey has been part of the Campari Group now since the early 90s, I believe. Or no, since 2009. That's when it was. And just like everybody else everybody is part of some group now. So they've been part of the Campari Group since 2009. This is a barrel-proof bottling. This is a 2021 bottle. This is 116.8 proof, and like I said, a very reasonable $56. Depending on what angle you come at it from, this is either very, very worth it or a little pricey. We'll dig into that later, but first, I have to thank everyone who supports the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. You can pledge $1, $2, whatever it's worth. We use the value for value model. If this show guided you properly to buy a bottle of whiskey you loved instead of something else that would have wasted $50 or $60 for you, you can pledge $1 a month for 50 or 60 months. Or watch out for that glass. Or $5 a month for 10 months. Whatever works for you. If you got any value from this show, pass it on at patreon.com/barrelhouse. I appreciate all of you, especially our Whiskey Legend tier patrons, really making it happen. So let's dig into the pour. Grab my trusty glass, grab my trusty bottle. Now, as always, I have done some tasting notes on this in preparation for the show. Really just a reason to drink a glass, then do the show and have another glass. So, and I'm batch recording these, and this is not the first episode of the batch record. So we're having a great night. This is also, by the way, I'm recording these all on Father's Day weekend. I think this episode will come out this episode will come out this week, I believe. So happy Father's Day if you're a patron, or happy week after Father's Day if you're not. I love the nose on this whiskey. It's a relatively complex but very approachable nose. You would think you would get a lot more heat off of it than you do, but it's pretty easy to get into. It's not super hot. First thing I get is honey right off the bat. Then soft caramel and melted butter. Get that aged oak, that like tannin-y aged oak. I get baked apples, like apple pie filling apples, sweet and cinnamony, soft smelling. Like apple pie out of the refrigerator. This kind of has that apple pie out of the refrigerator, like cool, buttery, all of it. This has, many of you will know, one of my favorite notes. It's got that, like that real oily orange peel note that I just cannot get enough of. I love that note. Oh, I could smell this all day. There's a little bit of ethanol, but it's really light considering the proof, and it's just enough to add some kick to the nose and kind of balance it out. It's a really nice nose. The palate is sweet and easy, but balanced nicely by the bite of the alcohol that's more present in the palate. I get like dense cherry cough syrup, but not that overly medicinal. There's a bit of medicinal to it. It's a little more towards the cherry, a little less towards the cough syrup, but it has that syrupy feel to it. You can definitely get the oak, charred oak, carbony, woody, very, it's not bitter. It has that tannin-y dryness to it, but it's not bitter. I get that caramel apple from that apple pie nose, right? I get that caramelly apple, soft, warm apple kind of taste to it. You ever been to like a leather shop, like a Wilson's Leather? I don't know if this is a national thing or just around here, but there was like a chain of like Wilson's Leather shops that was in malls all the time when I was a kid. And there's a super soft leathery taste that reminds me of the way it smells walking into one of those leather shops. I don't know if Wilson's was high-end or not. I don't remember. I was a child, but it immediately calls back to that like soft, supple leather. You get this right as the palate hits its peak towards the back of the palate before you really start to transition into the finish. You get this flash of this juicy ass nectarine, like that first bite into a nectarine that just squirts on your cheeks, just all over your face, like super juicy. It does not last long, but it's very pleasant. And there's definitely tobacco, but like the way it tastes the way an unlit cigar smells. I've given that note for a couple of whiskeys before, but this definitely falls in that line where it's like, it's not burnt tobacco or burning tobacco, and it's definitely not cigarette smoke. It's that like dried, uncut, natural aged tobacco kind of smell, but a taste. And you get this kind of light through line of white pepper through the whole palate. It's really nice. It's moderately complex, very crushable for the proof. The finish, I can tell you right now without even paying attention to it, the finish lingers for a while. Not unreasonable considering the higher proof. It's a sweet finish. the candied, honeyed notes dominate as the palate starts to roll off into the finish. We get a hint of that cigar smoke, that's not smoke, the unlit cigar. You get a hint of that coming back. And you get some of that orange zest, that like slightly bitter, oily orange zest starts to move in as it pushes the sweetness out. As we start to grow away from the sweetness, the spice starts to come in, take over, and that oak tannins, almost bitter, like they're starting to get almost bitter, those start to roll in. And the spice and the tannins linger together, not overly spicy, not overly bitter, but they both roll in. And they last, they linger and hang on for a while to remind you that you just sipped a superior whiskey. And eventually, maybe a minute or so, they roll off. It's a really complex, well-balanced finish at this price point. Overall, this is an absolute unit of a whiskey for $56. But that's affordable as far as whiskeys go. Reasonably complex, actually very complex at this price point. It's delicious, but like I said at the beginning, depending on which angle you come at this from, maybe not worth it, maybe definitely worth it. So, elaboration. If you compare this to other $50 to $60 whiskeys, it is definitely a heavy hitter. It's great in that price point. It's also relatively high proof at 116, and uncut barrel proof has a lot of benefits to it. It's a great whiskey. However, if you come at it from the other angle, Wild Turkey 101 exists, and that is 75 to 80% of the way as good, maybe even higher if you like cherry, because Wild Turkey 101 typically has a more cherry forward flavor profile, to me anyways. And that comes in at like a little less than half the price of this bottle. And at that point, if you're 80 to 85, 75, 80, 85% is good, but 50% of the cost, you are in diminishing returns territory when you buy this. So you got to think about that when you purchase. It's definitely one to think about, but I'd say in the grand scheme of things, in the ever existing game of smash or pass, this is an absolute smash. So buy it. Let me know what you think. Give it a shot. Let me know if you think it was worth it, or if you don't think it was worth it, let me know why you didn't think it was worth it. And you can get in touch with me at barrelhousepodcast.com. That'll give you links to everything. And you can also just like Google Barrel House Podcast or check Instagram, Twitter, all those things. Also, if you are at peak lazy and you just want to go straight to the Discord, eargluemedia.com/Discord will bring you straight to the Discord, and you can interact with me directly right away. And if you don't want to do any of that, go rate and review the show at iTunes. It means a lot. It goes a long ways. Really appreciate it. Also, while I'm plugging things, check out the Film Appraisers. We've been doing some great work. And in the last episode, we had Josh on from the Film Appraisers, and I feel like that was a great episode. Although, albeit a hair rushed, but we were coming in hot, and I really appreciate him doing that for me. So check out the Film Appraisers, and you can find all of that at thefilmappraisers.com as well. That's all I got for today. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all buy this bottle and enjoy that. That being said, drink whiskey, be merry, and take care. The Barrel House is written, produced, and hosted by Joe Kane, and it's a proud member of the Earglue Media Network. Views and opinions expressed on this show belong only to the mouth they came out of, and as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Slanjava.